It is just past 6 o'clock. We are at Lenovo Center, or as Doug Wharf is trying to make it a thing, the Lenny, alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias. Stanley Cup Playoffs, Game 1 in the books, and I don't think you could have asked for a better start to the postseason for the Carolina Hurricanes the way that this played out. Yes, not an ideal game time, Easter Sunday, but if you raise up, he also raised up for you. This is why I'm rocking this shirt today, Joe. Okay, all I need is a little bit of Carolina Hurricanes and a whole lot of Jesus on an Easter Sunday.
Big shouts to Brendan for finding that one for you.
And if I can keep the puns going, Canes turned them into deviled eggs today. Minced them up, chopped them up, served them up. It was a good look today. And it's because it's 420. Of course, Stankoven is the guy. Stankoven, excuse me. He was the dank stank today with 2 goals, sparking it up at the arena today. All the good stuff today. The reason why I say you couldn't ask for a better situation, yeah, not an ideal game time, but the crowd was good. I know there were some discounts to get in the building today. I took advantage of it. But also, the guy that you ended up with after the Mikko Rantanen and drama ends up being the one that really helped that second period be the dominant second period that it was. We can talk about the third period a little bit later on, but the game was won in the second period. Big reason why is because of guys like Stankoven. And here we are, up 1-0 on the New Jersey Devils.
I'm going to resist the urge to go full Nick Saban on you here.
Okay.
But I have a couple stats before potentially I get into a half measure Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
Canes win game 1. The Canes are 6-1 in series under Rod Brandenburg when they win game 1.
Okay.
The one loss was to the Rangers, who they beat in game 1 in 22, but lost the series in 7 games. So that's a good thing. Now, we didn't. Also, a couple more. The Devils and Hurricanes are playing now for the 6th time in the playoffs. The Hurricanes have won the last 4 series. Find a guy who knows a guy and put money on it now. The odds are for shit, but the Devils aren't very good. So the Canes are going to make it 5 in a row on that front.
Yeah. And
that is because of this particular reason. The Devils with Jack Hughes, their outstanding center, 33, 22, and 6 this season. When he busted out his shoulder on March 2nd, since then, 9, 11, and 1. So just for a point of comparison, the Devils were 33, 22, and 6. The Hurricanes were 35, 22, and 4 before under the same span.
Yeah.
So similar teams with Hughes. Without Hughes, forget it.
No, forget it.
Forget it.
And the bodies kept dropping as the game went on, too.
Yeah, his brother was banged up a little bit in this game.
Well, at one point, what was it? I think he took a skate to the head. He ends up that entire sequence just really illustrated how today was a bad day to be a Devil on Easter Sunday. Where
go figure,
right? So Hughes ends up in the net without a stick. He's slow to get up, and there's all this chaos in front of the net. Svechnikov decides to plant himself in front of Markstrom. Markstrom's getting annoyed, so he tries to slash Svechnikov, but in the process, who was it? Was it Cody Bell? I'm sorry, Cody Glass. Excuse me. Cody Glass is streaking across the goal mouth as he's trying to whack Svechnikov, and he ends up getting him instead. And then he gives out, and he has to be helped off the ice. So it was just that kind of a day for the Devils, who were already banged up going into this thing. And the thing about the third period, that if you wanted to nitpick today's game, it's one of those, like, put the hammer down on this team that you're clearly better than. I mean, you doubled them up in shots in the second period. I think, what did I make the joke? Like, it's already 37 shots to 13 in this game. I mean, come on. Let's just wrap this thing up. Things slowed down a little bit in the third period. And not that the Devils really had a chance in this, but you'd like to see them carry play consistently throughout, which didn't necessarily happen in the third period. That's the only nitpick from today.
Yeah, I have no nitpick for the way that the Hurricanes played in this game.
Fair.
None. They understood the assignment, because both things can be true. The Devils can be banged up and not very good.
Yeah, that's true.
But you can play with your food. You can fuck around. Markstrom can get hot.
Yeah.
None of those things happened. It was a classic first 2 periods for the Canes.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
chalk off the bingo card. You mentioned the shots were lopsided.
Very
like,
lopsided.
oh, okay. And then you had a random defender scoring the first goal, right?
Well, I wouldn't say Jalen Chatfield is a random defender.
But he is. I mean, he doesn't score a lot of goals.
To me, come on.
Random.
You know how many times we've gone to Chatman do this year? Come on.
I know, but it was random.
But it was also classic Canes do the work, classic face-off. Like you couldn't draw it up.
7 goals.
You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it any better though. On that.
No, that's
face-off.
what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That was my point.
Yes.
Their forecheck was going. They controlled the puck the first 2 periods. You got all these shots. You know, my full Saban on this, and I was watching something. Nick Saban famously, after they won, would be a hard ass.
Yes.
Because he was like, "Oh, you're fucking happy?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you.
Right.
Ain't no time for you to be happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're gonna work harder. I'm gonna put you down. I'm gonna knock you down a peg. When you lose, that's when you got to hug them up a little bit. That's when you got to love them up a little bit. So I'm watching this game, and Steph Nason's here from the Canes.
He's cool.
He signs a free agency with the Devils.
Nobody's got a problem with Nason. Nobody begrudges him.
No.
Nobody begrudges Dougie.
It's a classic. I was getting mad at Tulski.
Okay.
In the first period of this game, irrationally. I'm not saying it's rational, but Steph Nason scored more goals than Svech this year.
Yeah.
22 goals.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay Nason. They let him go, right? They replaced him with Roslovich, who scored 22 goals.
Yeah.
Steph Nason signed a 3-year deal with New Jersey, $2.75 million. They paid Roslovich $2.8 million. Now, the key difference here, Nason's 32, Roslovich 28.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit of like classic Canes galaxy brain, if you ask me, right?
Galaxy brain in what sense? So they already have some guys on the books that are accounted for. You mentioned Svechnikov. I mean, you might be speaking to a larger problem. He got the empty net goal today, but cool. That's just what he does. He gets the empty net goal.
That's where I was going. I want the Hurricanes to go full, well, if we're going to make the whole plane out of the black box, let's make it all out of spare parts. I don't know why Siri keeps coming up on my, can you hear me? I can't hear me.
You can't hear yourself?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I keep triggering Siri somehow on my own computer.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, sure. Svech played well, dude. I mean, here's the thing. They're paying him $7.75 million. Go get 20 Nasons and Rosloviches for $2.8 million.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
At this point, after the Rantanen thing and you get the 2 goals from Stankoven,
yeah,
just go full spare parts. Go full Belichick. Your star is Slavin. You invested in Aho and Jarvis. Everyone else, just make it a rotating door every year.
I mean, that's a bit base, is it not?
Isn't that what they're doing? What are you paying? What are you paying Svech for at this point? You're paying him $5 million more to Nason, who had 2 more goals.
I think that's I don't think it's about let's build the whole plane out of a bunch of fourth liners. I don't think it works.
That's their premise.
Way. It's not.
It's essentially their premise.
But what I think, if you really wanted to get on Svechnikov in a particular sense, to get to Sportsman 27-28, Svech played well. That's a classic. Like, you don't need to score to show that you played well.
Agree.
And that you can affect the game. We do this with Jordan Staal all the damn time, right?
Who makes $4 million a year.
I would say this, though, when we talk about Svechnikov, you didn't pay him that amount of money to play those types of games. You paid him that amount of money to score goals. That's what it's about. So to your point, that's fine. But maybe...
Oh, sorry. Staal makes less than 3 at his age.
There you go. So I see what you're saying, but I think it just might be that, hey, man, maybe Svechnikov just didn't turn out to be the guy that they thought that they invested all this money in, right?
Well, that's the hard part, because if you really think about it, how do you get top line players? Like, look at the Devils. They picked Heischer 1-1.
Yeah,
he's the one who scored the goal today, and you're like, oh, well, that's weird.
Well,
the guy they picked 1-1 has a bunch
like
of skill and scored 35 goals this year.
It's funny. I feel like we're doing a show that we should be doing in the Eastern Conference Finals after they get beat and the guys didn't step up.
But that's why I'm going full Saban here.
No, I get what you're saying. I think we understand that if they're going to win 16 of these things, they're going to need Svechnikov to produce. I think at one point I said I haven't really noticed Aho today, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things. I get what you're saying. But here's the ultimate thing for Svechnikov, if we're going to use this as a referendum for the postseason. If he does not produce this postseason, it's up to Eric Tulsky for the next big trick. All right, you flipped Mikko today, or you flipped Mikko this season. Now you got to flip that contract. If he does not produce in this postseason, one way or the other, because I mean, if everybody's healthy, and we'll talk to Luke DeCock about this a little bit later on when he comes up to the 5th floor here, at the Lenny. Because
here comes the vacuum lady, by the way.
Oh, is she on the way?
I feel good. I feel alive.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we've done something up here, man. So, I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, what else we got here from Mike? Someone check on PK Subban. I did not see what PK had to say about the Canes.
He's been very
but I know he's been
vocal
critical. What do you call him? Like the 8
they should fold their franchise.
Jeez.
Because they lost out on Rantanen. They lost out on Gensel. Oh, that was my other point.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Rod full credit potentially for listening to me.
Okay.
Should I go that way?
Sure, let's go that way.
Let's go that way. Last year, it was Jarvis, Aho, and Gensel.
Yeah.
Incredibly productive at the end of the regular season.
Yes.
They were not, quote unquote, heavy enough to play in the playoffs together, though.
I remember Rod told us that.
Which is the one thing out of 100 which I've questioned Rod on.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, they're not heavy enough. Checks notes. Jackson Blake is 5'11", 178. Is he heavy enough?
I guess not.
Okay.
I guess not.
You mean I guess so?
Well, yeah. I know
or did they suddenly realize, it's
maybe
okay to have a skilled line?
maybe not
the worst thing.
Maybe that Joe Giglio guy was onto something.
Well, we'll go that way.
Okay, maybe that was the case. Maybe Mike Maniscalco. Now, you don't have to, Mike. You don't have to get this close. We are not in the old glass case of emotion at the old sports bar on Glenwood anymore.
Oh, which is a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, Tobacco Road.
I
Shout out to Amra. That glass is around somewhere still, but it's not you, me, and Mark Thomas shoved into a glass case. We got space, buddy.
Look here, folks.
All right, so we're already nitpicking about the Carolina Hurricanes. That's how good today was.
Yeah.
We're already nitpicking.
It really was. And I was asked in the post-game show, what do you take out of this game? The big thing for me was that is how the Carolina Hurricanes play. That's how they want to play. Game 1, game 50, game 82. That's their brand of hockey. They go shot volume, if we're going to get into technical terms, but outstanding on the forecheck. You win your faceoffs. You're better in the special teams department. And then you get the saves when you need them from Freddie Anderson. And that's the recipe for the Carolina Hurricanes to not only, I think, just win game 1, but win this series. I feel like
he's getting louder.
I know. I feel like I'm right in the middle of everything right now.
We got a lot of stuff.
Adam is just so loud. Adam doesn't need a mic. Adam doesn't need a mic. He never needs a mic.
We could be onto a new thing, shoutcasting instead of podcasting.
Shout out to the old chopper, R.I.P. They can hear you in the parking lot, Adam. They can hear you in the parking lot.
But no, that's my takeaway. And look, a game like this, there's a few things I don't like. We're going to talk about nitpicking.
Sure.
And it's more on the Jersey end. I don't like the Daniel Sprong hit at the end where there's an open door on the bench. We'll see if anything comes out of that. There's a few things that you can look at from the Canes, some of the high danger chances, and I think that Rod Brindamore will tell you that they could be better at those things. But really, I mean, if we're going to sit here and talk about, what the Canes need to do better, the list is like 2 things. Really, that's it. It's again, the high danger chances, they gave up more than what they want to for when you only give up 24 shots on goal. And other than that, now we're talking about, I don't know, they had the one power play where the first unit didn't generate much, but then the second unit comes over the boards and scores the goal.
Right.
So, and what a way for Logan Stankoven to get into playoff hockey with the Canes. He has experience. He played last year with Dallas in the postseason, so people forget that. But this was in a game 1. I lean back on what Justin Williams would say about playoff series. You have to let your opponent know how hard it is to win. And then you lean on them after you do that. And you see if they want to push back. So game 2, I do expect a pushback from the Devils. They've got a couple of players that we'll see what their injuries are. Yeah, and I want to know why Jacob Markstrom is trying to kill his own players.
Well, he was trying to
get Andrei.
He was trying to get Svechnikov. As we mentioned at the jump of this live cast, he was trying to get Svechnikov. And it's that kind of day for the Devils where you're trying to do that and you get Glass instead.
But that's something where, and I'm going to it's every broken record and every cliche we can hear of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You just put that in the back of your mind. You don't let your temper boil over in game one, because now look what happened.
With Stankoven, your thoughts on, because I started this by saying not only a 4-1 victory is how you want to start this thing. The Devils are the team you want to see in the opening round too, given A, playoff history, B, their injury history right now. But Stankoven scoring twice with all the Mikko stuff. I mean, I know Canes fans are keeping an eye on what Mikko's doing in the postseason, but I almost feel like there's a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. We talked about this with Luke when they made the trade, the second trade that sent Mikko off, that it was the most predictable thing that they were going to reel off a bunch of wins because they got that chip. I feel like that's just a carryover effect that we're going to see at least in this round, maybe even 2 rounds.
Yeah, maybe. Look, I don't want to dive too much into it because it is a thing, right? I mean, look, Mikko Rantanen comes here. Basically, it's like, I'm not staying here. So what are you going to do when you consider what the Canes gave up? If you go, and I'm very serious when I say this, if you go to the draft before everything happens at the start of the year, and there had been a history with Marty Necas of, he wants this. There's been some rumblings here and there. So maybe you're thinking about moving Marty Necas in the offseason because, you've only got 2 years. If you don't get the RFA deal signed, right? And we're going down this road. And you were to tell me that you were going to get from the Dallas Stars Logan Stankoven and 2 first-round picks and 2 third-round picks. That's a really good haul. Yeah, it really is. I get where you gave up Necas and Drury, and it was supposed to be for Rantanen, and that's it. Well, everybody also forgets the other part of that trade. Taylor Hall comes across, and he's really happy to be here, and he was really good today in this one. I get it. Fans, you do you. You want to have a chip. You want to go watch and see. And look, I watched to see how. Are you telling
me that room doesn't have a chip?
No. You know what I think it is? It's when it's gone, it's gone.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm going to go with, let's go to Poltergeist. This house is clean. And you just move on. I don't think, here's the thing. If Rantanen came in and was a malcontent.
Sure.
Or what? Okay, now we got something.
Yeah.
Now you can sit there and say, oh, we'll show you.
It's not the Eric Holla thing.
No, it's really not. And I think for me, that's why anybody trying to create that, you're just trying to make something that's not there. He was good in the room.
Sure.
The players liked him. He's a nice guy. I know fans don't want to hear that. I get it. Nobody wants to hear it. Media doesn't want to hear that. We want great stories, right? Yeah. But there's no black hat in this one. I think it was just he was bombarded by the trade. And, he's going to be a free agent. And you and I know this, Joe Giglio, you know this, Joe Ovius, you've finally figured it out. The rare times in life when you have the hammer with your job situation, you swing it. So I think that's what happened. But no, I don't think if the Canes play the Stars in the Stanley Cup final, now, okay. All right, now we can visit this. But I think in the first round, you're just trying to make something that's not there. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry
it's fine.
to diffuse that.
It's fine.
If anybody's commenting on that, I'm sorry. Nobody believes in the comment, don't rob me of my hate. It's all I have, more than me.
Yeah, it's that's Star Trek episode, Star Trek 5.
Yeah, also the Count of Monte Cristo as well.
I need the pain. Yes. That's what I need.
Good, your hate fuels me.
From Mr. Soy, Freddie really locked in after the one mistake.
Yep.
If he plays like that, we've got a shot. Was that on Freddie or was that just a rip shot? That was a snipe, dude.
It's a great shot. First off,
it's a great shot.
First off, Nico Hischier is a hell of a hockey player.
Yes. Yes.
But
almost like when you pick a guy at the top of the draft.
You think he's going to be really good.
Although I think so, yeah.
Although it is funny. The first couple of years, Nico Hischier with New Jersey was like, he's turned into just a great 200-foot player. That being said, and this is where I will defer to my analyst who played the position in Trip Tracy on certain goals. Because for me, I'm just going to be like, that thing's wired, right? What are you going to do?
Right. That was my thought.
And he's like, end of the period, there's really no play. There's really no play coming the other way.
Yeah.
So there's no pass. Are you on your angle? Are you playing this the right way? Because you don't want to give up a goal that late in the period to give Jersey some life heading into the third.
You were saying that typical last 2 minutes.
Yeah,
it looking like a Roy Williams squad working in a new backup point guard in the last 2 minutes before halftime. Something bad's going to happen.
That's the other thing that we can nitpick on.
The last 2 minutes?
They give up. They've been giving up. It's for whatever reason. This has been a pattern that they've been giving up goals late in periods. Luckily, it doesn't come back to haunt them. In this one, it didn't haunt them in the Ranger game when you're thinking, although the Rangers made a push of it, the one regular season game here. But, yeah, that's one of those things where if a goalie tells me, he wants that, he should have that, I kind of lean towards that one. So,
okay.
Not a shocking decision with finally a full lineup.
No.
But what did you think of Rod's lineup choices? And obviously Jankowski was productive at the end, but I think Carrier kind of showed you that physical element as he usually does.
Yeah. I think Will Carrier, if he's healthy, he's in the lineup. There's no question about that. I think the lineup question was going to be the placement, because Will Carrier, the ideal situation for him when he was signed was he was going to play with Martinook and Stahl. And they were going to be heavy, and they were going to beat you to death. They're going to grind you to the boards as Joe Ovius, hockey manager and procurer of fruit slices for post games, will tell you.
Yeah.
The players who play the physical game, they get their pick of the oranges first.
No, sorry, dude. I was thrown off today. I haven't been to a Canes game in a hot minute, like to a Canes game. I've been watching you on TV, and it took me a second to get used to the speed again. I've been watching 13-year-olds play hockey. I was like, that's fast. Slow down. I got to tell if that's an offside or not, okay? It's really easy to tell an offside in youth hockey. Anyway.
To that point, not putting Carrier with Stahl and Martinook because there's now chemistry with Stankoven on that line.
Yeah.
But putting Carrier with Robinson and Roslovic, you've got now two big bodies on the wing for Jack Roslovic. They win the draw. Robinson gets it back to Chatfield, even though Carrier doesn't get a point. Well, he's got a direct hand in why that goal goes.
I was going to say that goal doesn't happen without Carrier putting his big body in front of Markstrom.
Now, that being said, it's a good thing when you have to make these lineup decisions when they're healthy. I'll be curious when the series shifts to New Jersey and you don't have the last line change if maybe Mark Jankowski gets in the lineup over Jack Roslovic, unless that line plays brilliant again in game 2, just because he's a centerman who wins draws. He's a big body at 6'4". Yes, he's put some offense in, but he can kill penalties for you as well. And it gives you a little different look again, where when Sheldon Keefe wants to throw the Heischer line over the boards, Jankowski with Robinson and Carrier has more of a we're going to check against you kind of line than Roslovic. These are all options. And Tyson Jost as well, who played great in the last 2 games. There's a lot of options that you have right now if you're Rod Brind'Amour. So it's almost, and I know this sounds homerish for me to say, and I don't mean it to, but I don't think that there's a wrong roster choice with that, because you can see here, you can get the Roslovic line away if you want to, or if they're going the way that they were going, all right, we're going to feed them a little bit more.
Nice to have choices, though.
Oh, absolutely.
You want to do this again on Tuesday?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Let's do it again on Tuesday. We're going to tag you out. We're going to tag Luke DeCock in. That's what we can do when we're here live on YouTube.
It's going to be a hot tag, too.
Oh, yes. What would be your tag team WWE name?
Oof.
That's something to think about for Tuesday.
DeCock in the rig.
Absolutely.
I think I saw
For her
that.
pleasure.
I was gonna say I think I saw that movie once.
Rigging.
Yeah.
So something wrong with the
Bob Mike. Actually,
I was gonna go with sound infuriating.
let's pick up with what Mike was talking about with putting Roslovic in
Michael.
And Jankovic not in. And I know fans on Twitter and Blue Sky were a little like, what the hell? But Roslovic produced today.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's the deal. You're going to use Jankowski in games 3 and 4 when you want a guy who's a little more defensively responsible. You can't pick your matchups. Here with last change, you can use Roslovic and you can protect him a little bit defensively. And then, the other thing that he did today that I think you saw is when Robinson and Carrier get going, it's like a couple freight trains.
Sure.
And it's almost like Stankoven with Stahl and Martinook. You put a skilled guy out there with 2 wrecking balls, sometimes good things happen. In this case, Roslovic wins a faceoff. The Carrier has the screen for the Chatfield goal. And then, obviously Stankoven gets 2. The second, I mean, I honestly thought, total non sequitur, I think you can make an argument that Taylor Hall was the Hurricanes' best player tonight, despite not scoring and just being on the score. I mean, he was really, really good. And to me, that's a really good sign for the Hurricanes, because that's the kind of guy they need to be good, is a veteran guy who scored a lot of goals in the league. Like, if he plays like that, he's going to get some goals. So, Yeah, I to me, it's a good problem to have. It's the playoffs. You're not expecting to go out in this round. Obviously, it could happen, but you're going to need more than 12 forwards. You're going to need more than 6 defensemen. I mean, I think the amazing thing is they won 4-1. They outshot them, whatever it is, 48-23.
48-24.
And they didn't even have Alexander Nikishin. Like, imagine how badly they would have beat him if Nikishin were playing. I mean, I feel terrible. I only had him 3rd on my Calder ballot and 5th on my Norris ballot because this guy is.
Why be a hater?
No, he's going to be good. I'm amused at the fact that this guy's already in the Hall of Fame and he's been stateside for 2 days.
Well, I guess these are luxury problems to have.
Very much so.
This is something that you wrote about, and we can kind of close things up on this because I agree with you. Julia, what do you like to say with the NCAA tournament? There's no monster, right?
Well, no monster in the East, at least that we could tell.
Right.
Yeah. But I was going to say to you, we just had a tournament where we saw 4 number 1s advance. I fucking love the Canes draw, man.
Well,
the Devils are dead. They're a dead duck.
Devils did not look ready for this.
And the Canes have confidence against Washington.
They do.
I don't know if they have any advantage, but they have confidence.
I also think Washington's probably in the hangover of the Ovechkin goal chase too.
I think Montreal wins that series.
Okay.
I think Ottawa beats the Leafs. So you think the draw?
Like Ottawa
think the draw is good for the Hurricanes now? Check back in 10 days. I think the Habs beat the Caps because I do think the Caps. 1, I think the Habs have better goaltending. 2, the Caps expended too much energy on a meaningless record trying to get it done this year. I think that was just a huge waste of energy when you've won the division and you need to be getting ready for this, which you saw with the Hurricanes. Everyone wanted to ask everyone about the rest, but they did look like a rested team. They did look like a team that wasn't scraping to get the 82nd game and get that last point to get in.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, Ottawa to me has 2019 Hurricanes energy. We're back. We're in.
Yeah.
We've been away for a while. Our fans are going to be fired up. And guess what? We start against our biggest rival.
Didn't today kind of answer that question too? Because I get it. The course of a regular season can be a grind. You want to be going into the playoffs looking like you got your shit together. And the Canes, for a variety of reasons, did not. But none of that stuff mattered.
No,
today's what mattered. And they looked like a team that was ready to go.
You look back at when the Hurricanes were the underdog in 2019 or whatever. They were always going up against teams that had been in the playoffs for a month, and those teams always came out of the gates like the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
If you're a good team, especially if you've been through the 7 years in a row, you're ready. You don't need an education in playoff intensity. You know what it's going to. I think the Devils, for all the veteran players they have, and Sheldon Keefe just said that, they were overwhelmed in the second.
Yes.
And I think especially physically, how often do we say that the Hurricanes are the more physical team in the postseason? But especially physically, I thought the Hurricanes were really effective. Physically, like they finished checks. Robinson and Carrier got on people. Seth Jarvis lit up Brett Pesce. It was like the Svechnikov Lindholm hit, except not as violent. I mean, same scenario, coming around that same corner of the net, same end of the ice. He just didn't kill the guy the way Svechnikov did. Really effective. And then the Devils, they're running around. They've got Meyer going after Jackson Blake 20 feet after the play, takes a dumb penalty. Their own goalie whacks one of their dudes and knocks them out of the game. I mean, it's the kind of stuff you go back to, like the Rangers series, the Boston series 19. It's the kind of running around undisciplined stuff the Hurricanes used to do all the time. And then they complain, we didn't get the officiating. They got 7 power plays and we got 2. Tonight, the Hurricanes were that team. They were the team laughing at the other team running around taking stupid penalties.
Yeah.
That's the evolution this team had to get to.
All right, before we say goodbye, Joe and I were talking about Svechnikov earlier. Noted hockey enthusiasts would tell you that he affected the game in all sorts of ways. But with that contract and what you thought he's going to be, he's got to score, and it can't just be the empty netter stuff.
Empty net specialist. They didn't need Jake Gensel. They already had an empty net specialist.
So I guess what is, with a healthy Svechnikov, a healthy team, what is the overall what are we looking for out of Svechnikov this postseason before we start asking some questions or thinking about the future?
It's too soon.
I agree.
No. It's a fair question.
It's a storyline.
It's too soon to answer.
Yeah.
If his shot from the bottom of the right circle, the one-timer that he didn't really connect well with.
He was mad about that one.
Markstrom gets a piece of it.
Yep.
If that goes in, we're having a different conversation. The conversation is Andrei Svechnikov starts the playoffs with a goal. I think it's a fair question to ask. I do think it has to play out. But the answer is, and this is what Rod said yesterday about putting him back on the first power play unit, we are not going to win this. I'll paraphrase. We are not going to win the Stanley Cup if Andrei Svechnikov has 2 goals. and they're both empty netters.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, we've got to get him going. Got to put him in position to score goals. We don't have a ton of natural goal scorers. We have hardworking guys who can score. Andrei Svechnikov is our most natural goal scorer after Logan Stankoven and Mark Jankowski. So, you've got to find ways to put him in positions to
Marco
excel.
Jankin.
Marco Jankin. I got
Yes.
into that with other people today.
Oh, no, it's okay. People can hear him.
They can hear. It's his podcast too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He gets credits.
I was going to say, I might
Hit
have
us
to.
up, Lenovo.
Yeah.
We need a little logo on the
Yeah,
side.
I might have to put producer credits for gold as he's in the background.
Anyway, yes. Anyone who was listening during the second intermission heard
But
that.
maybe
Jerk store is the line.
maybe Svech is just who he is.
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
If Svech is who he is, if he's a nice player who isn't a 40 goal scorer, who's
Yeah.
going to be a 25 goal forward, then you need to move him because you're
Yeah.
paying him to be more. You're going to end up paying him to be more. And if he has a good playoff campaign, maybe you can get more. So we're jumping ahead, right? We're jumping ahead to June,
Mhm.
but that's going to be the existential question. Is Svechnikov the guy, or do you need to sort of cut bait, get what you can, and move on? Look, he's a much better player than Jeff Skinner, but we went through this with Jeff Skinner. He wasn't the guy. He was a nice player who had some attributes.
Let the man live. He's in the playoffs for the first time.
Sorry, apologies to Jeff Skinner.
The way the salary cap is, though, paying him 7+ isn't the same as it was.
No, it's
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's
you've
why I'm
got
saying
salary cap
maybe it's
inflation.
okay, him being him, if you're okay with it.
I don't. That number is going to go up,
Okay.
and you are going to have to pay that. So you have to decide he may not be interested in signing for less than $12 million.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So you have to make a decision. It's sort of, it's almost like the Mikko Rantanen thing with the Avalanche. If we can't re-sign him when the time comes, do we trade him while he still has some value and go a different direction? That's really more the conversation. It's not, is Andrei Svechnikov a bad player? He's not. He's a good player.
He's a good player.
I don't know if he's a great player. He's a good player, and you can win with him. But you look at this. I mean, he's been hurt, obviously, but it's 20 goals, 18 goals, 24 goals. That's not. I was going to say that's not second overall pick worthy. But then look at the third overall pick, and it's the 2018 draft was not particularly kind to the Hurricanes. When Jack Drury, good second round pick, no longer with us.
All right, man. I know you got to get out of here.
Yes.
We appreciate
Appreciate it.
We will do it again on Tuesday, 6:00, because the NHL really loves Canes fans.
This is the most wackadoo playoff schedule I've ever seen in 25
Brutal.
years,
Absolutely
And that's
brutal.
saying a lot.
including that series where we had 2 back-to-backs home road or whatever it was.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It was
Yes.
09 something. Anyway, it's all
All
blown
right,
out.
go cook up the column. All right, or go spark it up or something. 420. Let's go.
weren't ready for that smoke.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
You got any
I
final?
hear silence.
Adam, you done?
I'm going to do the podcast in a few minutes.
Okay, there you go. All right, we're just gonna wrap this up. Do
We
you
got a
want?
minute.
Do you want fourth? You want fourth host credit on this one?
Sure.
Okay. Tuesday, we're moving all the way down that way.
It's
I
fine.
forgot how loud Adam is. Goodness, haven't worked with that man for over 2 years, and goodness, it's loud. I forgot. Any final thoughts, Joe?
Like I said, I was slightly going full Saban on them. I like the way that they played. I like that they understood the assignment. I like their balance. But at some point, skill wins out.
I want to talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. I don't
Okay.
think it's wrong to go Saban on it.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of explore what exactly this postseason really is going to be for the Carolina Hurricanes, because the opportunity is there. I understand
That
what
bracket is nice.
I understand what the expectations were at the beginning of the season.
Just get here.
Just get to the playoffs,
Yeah.
because with the retooling, you understood this was not, the Canes will tell you the window never they don't close the window, but we can understand that all years are built differently. And that this year was they're going to have a decent regular season. They're going to make the playoffs and then just roll the dice and see where it happens. But expectations can change as the season goes on. And clearly the Canes thought they had something in this group that they wanted to go out and get Mikko Rantanen when they did. And then after all that aftermath, they ended up with a pretty decent group in an East with a bracket draw that's pretty conducive
It's
to making a
juicy.
run.
It's juicy.
Very conducive for it. So once you get the lay of the land, I think it's perfectly okay to say, hey, guys, this is not just about, see what happens. It's there for you.
Yeah.
And usually what's funny about sports is sometimes it's there for you in the years that you don't think
You're not
it's going to be
expecting
there for you. Okay. May I point out 2010, if we're going to do the whole Coach K, Rod Brindamore thing, 2010 Duke is a prime example of that.
Sometimes you got to steal it. I do have actually one more legitimate point.
Yeah.
If the Devils are going to be this bad, you can actually play Kochetkov in game 2.
We'll see.
I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying.
Like, if
I know
you're
what you're
used
saying.
to rotating
Keep it going.
and you want to steal one, you play him here. Freddie's ready for Friday up there. You beat him.
Yeah.
I mean, even with him, you beat him.
Someone we can talk about. All right. Appreciate everybody who's been watching the live stream. Throw it a like, leave a comment. We appreciate everybody who's left comments already. We'll get to some of these things tomorrow on the main podcast. And of course, we'll be back here on Tuesday night for a random ass 6 o'clock start.
Blue plate special, baby.
Jeez.
I love
Now,
it.
I'm not.
I'm 50 now.
You're not yet, Joe. Not until Friday.
It's my birthday. Look.
It's not
My
until
guy.
Friday. Not until Friday. Give yourself a little bit of a break, man.